Hi everyone and welcome to your horoscope for the week of December the 7th, 2020. This horoscope is brought to you by onemillionnights.com. Next week we are going to have quite a mixture of different energies, but still the star of the show is definitely going to be the energetic Saturn, greatly expanded by Jupiter, just before both of these planets move on to form the Great Conjunction, opening the new era on the 21st of December 2020. But even before that happens, on the 14th of December, the Sun and Moon are going to meet in the sky on the South Node and form the solar eclipse in the sign of Sagittarius, which is going to be an energy just as powerful, just as karmic, and just as life-changing as the Great Conjunction. So basically, this week is just going to be a preparation, the energies configuring themselves, setting the stage for that solar eclipse in the sign of Sagittarius. And emotions are going to be high, because we are in the period between eclipses. For on the 30th of November we had the Gemini lunar eclipse, and now we are preparing for the Sagittarius solar eclipse, which means that the veil between the worlds is that much thinner, and a lot of spiritual, ethereal energies are here with us, and they come to help us prepare. They come to help us reconfigure our inner truth, our emotions, our thoughts, so that we can benefit from that solar eclipse, which is a really, really powerful new moon, that much more efficiently. Because as you know from previous horoscopes, a new moon is always very reactive to our intentions, to our frequencies, to our thoughts, to our desires. It is like planting seeds of intention into the universe, and it is those seeds that are going to come to fruition over the course of the next 6 months, so starting from the 14th of December. So how we feel, what we think about, how we relate to the future we want to experience, what we want to desire, what we focus on is really, really, really important. And that Gemini lunar eclipse was very significant because it gave us the chance to look at ourselves in the most authentic way possible, to see who it is that we are in the very core of our souls, and make decisions, preferences, plant intentions based on that. So all fake values, fake sense of identity, all of the programmings and conditionings that influence us have been revealed so that we can work with those. And Mercury is also a very powerful ally in the sky, because it entered the sign of Sagittarius, where its energies are very, very quick, instantaneous. Communication can happen suddenly without any warning, and that can be a solution to a lot of problems. Because, this is the power of the word, the power of thoughts. What we express, what we speak out, has a very strong power of manifestation, regardless if we look at this spiritually, quantically, or in a very practical manner. For, the power of words can also be asking for help. It can also be projecting out there whatever you need. And when, your words or your expression enters the minds of other people, they can decide to send help, they can give you an opinion, a help, guidance, etc. And also, Mercury is getting close to the Sun, and whenever these two planets meet in the sky or get very close to one another, that is always a very revelatory energy. It is like the illumination of the mind, illumination of our thought patterns. And in the sign of Sagittarius, it is all about our non-linear logic. It is about our superconscious, our beliefs, and the power that our beliefs have over our lives. So it is really, really important. But of course, this part is mostly about our minds, our mental sphere, what we think, our life views, our perceptions, our philosophies. So it is a mercurial type of energy. This is just one part of the deal, because there is a totally different kind of energy which supports our emotions, our hearts, and our, spiritual nature, our connection to source, where on one hand, Venus forms a supremely harmonious celestial dance with Neptune, which is her higher octave. So this is spirituality, this is belief, this is faith, this is unconditional love, this is authentic desires, this is the compassion, the solidarity, the understanding, the empathy of others and ourselves as well. It is also understanding the other, but understanding the self as well. And this creates a powerful synergy, which gives us the emotional power to do everything in our power to better not just our own situations, but also those of others, especially people very important to us. And even if we do not have material power, even if we cannot help very practically, a good word, emotional support, a prayer, positive thinking, inspiration, making other people feel less alone is a great spiritual help under the sky such as this one. And also another energy, the sun in the sign of Sagittarius forms the same type of supremely harmonious conversation with Mars. So this is a powerful fire trine. Mars from its home sign of Aries is all about willpower. It is all about the supremacy and sovereignty of our instincts, our passions, our desires, while the sun in fellow fire sign Sagittarius, it is about our higher thinking. As I said, it is our superconscious, where our beliefs, our life views, our perceptions about life and the world lie. So this conversation can give us a lot of courage, a lot of faith. Simply said, this is the kind of energy where faith is actually enough to move mountains. If you strongly believe in something, especially if that something is very optimistic, it is positive, it is passionate, you can feel a true sense of connection to that purpose, well then the universe will definitely conspire in your favor. And also another nuance of this energy, the sun is conjunct the great attractor. The great attractor isn't a planet, it is a massive spatial anomaly which sends cosmic radiation all throughout our galaxy and even neighboring galaxies. It has such a great strength that it can actually bend and twist galactic clusters. So whenever a planet meets and aligns with it, especially if it's the sun, where the sun in itself is the source of our life, the source of light. It is a great creational energy in itself. Well, this can mean that we can actually co-create solutions to all of our problems, even if from a human term it would make no sense, it would have no human logic to it, even if it's impossible, so to speak, even if there are no doors of opportunities open, no connections, no anything, yet still this is the true power of the divine, especially its creational aspect. So it can do anything as long as, that Mars is the symbol of our willpower, of our passion, our courage to dream it up. So this is a really, really good news, especially for those people who have strong Sagittarian energy in their charts. Because, they can just believe anything into existence. And they are kind of people who are not afflicted, so to speak, by knowing every single minor detail, as in how, why is it possible, etc. But of course, this energy benefits everyone. Just think about it this way. If you have a really strong and passionate desire and it just doesn't go away, and it doesn't stem from something really low vibe or negative like envy, jealousy, obsession, you want it your way or the highway. If it's like a genuine passionate desire, well, then this is where you can actually believe it in existence. And yes, we absolutely do have the sun meeting the great attractor every single year, but not always does it benefit from a trine with Mars from its home sign of Aries. So this trine is really, really powerful from a spiritual perspective. So we would be wise to use it. And also, the ruling planet of the sign of Sagittarius is Jupiter. So optimism, genuine hope, belief, being aligned to our inner truth, knowing that we deserve it for the simple fact that we're living, sentient living beings. So we have a creator, and that creator is merciful and kind. That is already enough to activate this powerful creational energy. And also the trine Neptune holds with Venus, Venus being in the sign of Scorpio, that is also very, very dreamy energy. So divine inspiration, guidance can reach us in dreams, synchronicities, feelings, deja vus. Someone randomly says something and we can see through the words as if the divine is communicating through that person. So it's a really, really good energy. Not to mention that artists, creative people, those who have artistic vision, those who have to work with imagination on a daily basis, it is such a wonderful energy for them. Inspiration can reach you. You can create your biggest masterpieces. You can go as deep as you would like. Because this Neptune trine is like a bottomless well of creativity inside of your soul. And speaking about Venus, towards the end of the week, Venus holds sextiles, harmonious celestial conversations with the Capricorn planet. So basically, this is like a really powerful energy of attraction, because if Venus is the female principle, so she is more like a passive energy. She attracts what she needs, what she loves, what would make her happy into her sphere. Opposed to Mars, the male principle, who goes out there and does it, who conquers, who shoots his arrows of desires. Venus is more passive, so it is magnetic. She draws, she attracts. And also the part of the sky where she's holding these conversations is very relevant, Scorpio. Scorpio, one of its expressions is all about attraction, all about getting what you want, going, digging up everything, discovering the pattern, discovering the path, and then going and getting what you need. So firstly, her sextile with Pluto can be a really powerful, sexually attractive energy where you can just attract a person into your life, or it can greatly highlight everything that is beautiful, attractive, valuable about you, regardless, professionally, physically, depending on what you need. And it can just draw into your life a person or a situation, even the hand of fate, which can just give you everything that you need. Of course, this might require compromises. It might require, a subtle way of you expressing what you need, what you seek, planting the seeds of intention into, other people's unconscious minds. Pluto is the power of manipulation amongst other things, but we shouldn't really see this in a very negative light, because let's say an advert on television, for example, that is all about Pluto. That is pure manipulation, but it's not that harmful. You're not enslaving someone, you're just giving an option. But of course, that is just one side of this energy. Her sextile with Jupiter is that much more relevant, because when she will hold and perfect her sextile with Jupiter, both Venus and Jupiter are going to be at anaretic degree. An anaretic degree is the last degree of any sign where a planet symbolism is greatly amplified. Venus is the lower benefic, Jupiter is the great benefic. So both of these planets are about good fortune, they are about blessings, wealth, well-being, prosperity. So basically believing in yourself, believing that you're worthy, that you deserve it, that it would make your life and those of others that much more beautiful, prosperous, that getting what you desire would be basically a really good thing for the whole world. Because Jupiter does require us to share our blessings and be infinitely grateful for them. So with the help of this energy, you can attract a lot of really, really good and positive things in your life. And then of course there is the sextile with Saturn. Saturn being in his home sign of Capricorn, the lord of karma, of manifestation. Saturn is the planet which allows an ethereal energy or a non-material energy to take shape and form in matter. So basically working hard for a purpose, sacrificing for a purpose, even if that sacrifice is just, a spiritual, investing your spiritual energies, meditating, really, really being focused and desiring it, is already enough to create powerful manifestations. But of course, all of these is the positive side of the spectrum, because let's not forget that there are other energies at play which are not that comfortable, and one of those energies is the square between the Sun and Neptune. Now, as I said, the Sun in the sign of Sagittarius is our highest thinking, our faith, our beliefs, our life philosophies, while Neptune can represent our unconscious, or better said subconscious energies, maybe the blockages, maybe those repressed emotions which are actually drowning us. So when these planets speak in a square, so in tension, that might require a little bit of soul searching, digging deep inside of us to know what limits us, because we really, really need to be in tune with our inner truth, our beliefs, and basically not question, not doubt our non-linear logic as in our beliefs. But of course, this doesn't mean fanaticism, this doesn't mean just fixating on it, this doesn't mean manipulating yourself into believing it. And that is exactly why this square is a really healthy energy, because every healthy faith, when faith is genuine, when faith is authentic, there are always doubts. Those doubts are not really anything negative, but they just ensure that you don't get fanatic and that you are not buried in dogma. Because a dogmatic way of believing, that is not really spiritual, because it is someone else's truth forced upon you, regardless if you force it upon yourself or someone else tricks you into believing those strongly. So that is why those doubts have their place and their role. And you do not overcome them, you do not fight them with fanaticism, with forcing an ultimate belief on yourself, but rather you have to take the most positive expression of Neptune and work with it, as in genuine soul level trust, feeling the love of the divine, that even if you do not have all the answers, even if you do not know everything, it's still absolutely okay because you are guided. The divine experiences itself, it breathes through us. So it always has our back, it always wants our greatest good. That is basically Neptune, that genuine soul level trust based on unconditional love and not fanaticism. And of course, even though this is a square, there can be a most positive expression of this. For example, when you have a doubt, when you are not very sure about something, well, just ask the universe to give you a guidance, to give you a sign, and see the synchronicities in your life, and there in an instant, you overcome the challenge that the square poses. Even if the sign is not something very logical and rational, even if it's just like a huge sign that everything's gonna be okay, that is still a message from the divine, and it is enough to make your faith and your trust strong enough to overcome doubts, but not through fanaticism and manipulating yourself. Now another hard aspect is the same square, but which Neptune is going to be holding with Mercury. Now this is where communication, information, news happening on the world stage, because Sagittarius does represent the international community, and most possibly about the coronavirus situation, about, the evolution of the crisis, what happens in other countries, what happens here and there, conspiracies, etc. Now these can be very, very negative, disruptive, and toxic next week. So we really have to try not to allow these news, fake news, conspiracies, social media posts, and Neptune can also represent the self-victimization tendencies of other people to get to us. We need to stay detached, and whenever we are caught up, let's say, in a duality where we just don't know what to believe, because this makes sense, but the conspiracy makes sense as well. Everything is very rational and logical, but those rational elements contradict themselves and you just don't know what to decide. Then just detach yourself and accept that sometimes in life it's perfectly okay not to know and not to hold the greater truth in a rational way. Don't allow this bombardment of information and this mediatic warfare to influence your spirituality and your inner truth negatively. And also another expression of this energy, don't get into discussions about religion and religious truths and religious text, holy scriptures, which is the ultimate truth, which is the true word of God, which is the authentic faith and all of that. Because there are going to be problems on the world stage exactly with this subject, like the clash of certain kind of religious views, opinions, perspectives, and truths. So don't get sucked up in that. And of course, last but not least, I would like to say a couple of words about the most powerful aspect in the sky. So we are Saturn in the anaretic degree of his home sign. As I said earlier, an anaretic degree is the last degree of a sign where the symbolism of the planet is greatly amplified and usually the shadow expression is dominant. And when it comes to Saturn, well, it is its home sign, so it's that much more powerful, and it does mean all our limitations, it does mean the rules, the restrictions, the abuse of power, the control of governments, and expanded by Jupiter, so the economic crisis, the political crisis, the problems with jobs. We are going to be feeling all of this that much more, both collectively and personally. And also Mars is starting to reform its square compensation of tension with Pluto. It's not exact yet and it's nowhere near exact, but it's still enough to spark spirit to ignite the passions of rebellion inside of people. So we can already anticipate that people are not gonna be happy, and protests and people marching to the streets and demanding freedom, demanding their rights to be respected quite violently is gonna get more intense. And Pluto is the higher octave of Mars. Mars is all about, conflicts, war, spontaneous action, lashing out, anger, rage, etc. And when Pluto takes this on, it can be very destructive. So there is bound to be clashes between law enforcement, the military, and people, quite in a strong way in certain parts of the world. But of course, this is just the beginning. This square is not powerful yet, so this is just the start of the volcano, which is going to erupt inevitably. But let's hope that by the time their dance becomes exact, so the square becomes exact, the Great Conjunction would have taken place already, and maybe that will change everything. So let's just hope that it won't be like physical violence, that lives don't have to be lost in this process. Because we already lived through 2 Mars and Pluto squares. One at the end of the summer, and then another one when Mars went retrograde, and it retrograded back to 23-24 degrees of Aries. And we saw the violence, we saw the protests, we saw the demonstrations, and in very many parts of the world, clashes between authorities and people, protesters, civilians. But I do hope that this final and third time, it won't play out the same way, because the Great Conjunction is an eye-opener. It will change the way we see things. It will change the way we feel. It will change who we are. So maybe we won't take the same actions as we have done just a couple of months ago. And of course, this is perfectly valid for everything, even the world crisis, even the COVID situation, because, that Great Conjunction basically upgrades us from a spiritual, psychological, and I would even dare to say a neurological perspective, in the sense that maybe somehow in the most mysterious ways, those cosmic energies can rewire certain neural pathways in our minds, so violence won't be expressed physically, or at least not in the same degree as we experienced until this present moment. And of course, 0 degrees of Aquarius, that is genius energy. Maybe we can dream up, invent, come up with the most unusual solutions. Maybe we can tap into the highest expressions of our cerebral activities and just reinvent everything. But of course, this is more like wishful thinking. I am expressing my own hopes and desires here. But regardless of what I think, of what anyone thinks, one thing is for certain: that Great Conjunction is changing the world forever. No, not instantaneously, not on the day of 21st December, even though for some people it can change there and then. But in a couple of years, let's say until 2024, when Pluto also enters in this part of the sky, the world is definitely gonna be totally different than it is today, and in a very significant and positive way. But of course, I'll be speaking more about these very important celestial dances before they happen. So next week I'm going to be speaking about the solar eclipse in Sagittarius, and then of course about the Great Conjunction, so stay tuned. I'll be here to guide you each and every step of the way. So this concludes this week's horoscopes. Thank you so much for listening. I wish everyone a blessed and safe week. Until next time, bye for now.